Right now, we have an attack on our nation's food supply, and it's happening in three different arenas. First, it is happening in the supply chain of food. We reported on the burning down of structures, or what was termed to be accidental, of food processing companies or large holdings of cattle, chickens, all within a year's time. That happened a couple of years ago. Another attack is happening on what is being put in our foods to hurt us as human beings. It doesn't seem like anything's fresh and ready anymore. It's so much prepackaged foods. There's so many attacks there in that part of the food supply. And then the third is what we're about to talk about right now, and I think this is a very serious warning, and that is the propaganda that's being pushed. Now, I've been reporting on the amount of animals culled when it comes, especially chickens, because of the bird flu that's been going on for a handful of years. Now you're starting to see the narrative change and these slight warnings coming out. And I've told you before that there is something coming where they want to lock us down again, shut us down. And it's very important that we watch these trends so that it builds up our confidence that this is actually happening, and then we do things about it as a community. When I'm saying a community, I'm talking about a nation. This story is out of the New York Post, and I think it's to be taken very serious. Not that I believe that it's necessarily real. I believe that the propaganda is real. Okay? The fear-mongering is real. And so what you need to see is what they're trying to do to scare enough people to pull something off. Before I read the headline, well, no, I'm going to read it right now. Bird flu pandemic could be 100 times worse than COVID, scientists warn. And even this, if you completely disagree, like I do, with this personally, type 1 if you would disagree with it. Type 2 if you think this is real. I'm just curious. I'd love to hear what you have to say. But my point being is this can be very dangerous, because I believe we've heard terms like useless eaters and you will eat bugs and you will own nothing and be happy. We've heard these terms come out of big groups around the world. And what's important to know is that this can be an easy grab for people that are raising their own chickens, preparing for times, or just want to be independent. We've seen an attack recently from states like Oregon that want to hurt small farmers, small farms. They don't want you to be independent. They want the big conglomerates feeding you, right? We've seen where we know that chicken is a good source of cheap protein. However, that is going up day after day with inflation, right? And it's becoming harder and harder. People have had to switch. We've seen that switch nationally from beef to chicken, right? We've seen a ton of pork facilities be shut down, supposedly because there's a lack of demand. I find that extremely hard to believe. In a world where beef is so expensive, why wouldn't pork be picking up, right? But this is a time where you're going, are they going for the chickens? It would be an easy thing where all of a sudden there's this pandemic, bird flu around, and you're going, what are you talking about? I don't see it. I don't see chickens falling over. We got to go and kill your entire farm because there's one of them in there. How easy is that to detect, right? Kill them all. And sorry, you don't have the right permits or licenses to do this. So again, on New York Post, this is the headline right now. Bird flu pandemic has spread rapidly since a new strain was detected in 2020. Since a new strain was detected in 2020 affecting wild birds in every state, as well as in commercial poultry and backyard flocks. Please understand, that's why they want to make sure that it's already starting to demonize the backyard flocks. Also, I see Kevin saying that he didn't get a notification. Can you all just start typing comments in like crazy to get the algorithm woke up? I believe, honestly, that this type of video, that title, the algorithm's like, no, don't want to share this. And I believe that my gut, my intuition, and type 3 if you agree, this is sort of starting to feel very similar to what we saw with the pandemic, where they're attacking backyard flocks. They want to say, oh, you guys are unregulated, and these big guys are regulated to the point where like, we found a bird flu. Kill them all. Kill a million birds, right? That much less food on the market. And the thing about chickens, it's two types of foods. Remember, you've got the chicken, you've got the egg. And think about, please understand, how vital are eggs in prepackaged foods, right? It's a base ingredient in so much foods, it's crazy. So it's a big deal. And I'm not saying that it's a big deal because I think that this flu is real. I honestly believe propaganda and what is going to happen next is the big deal. Trying to demonize people that are raising their own chickens for their own eggs, for their own food. I have so many friends that have backyard flocks. I wish I could, but I don't live the type of lifestyle right now where I can. I don't have the piece of property that could have chickens. I love that stuff. Now, the story from the New York Post says this virus on the top of the pandemic list for many, many years and probably decades, Dr. Suresh Kuchpudi, a bird flu researcher from Pittsburgh, said in a recent panel discussing the issue, according to the Daily Mail. He says, and now we're getting dangerously close to the virus potentially causing a pandemic. I believe they are laying down the base right now, case or story for how big this is going to end up being. He noted that the H5N1 virus has already detected in species throughout the world and has shown the ability to infect a range of mammalian hosts, including humans. Now, this is the key right here. This is the scary part. Let me go to the percentage. And this is what they're throwing out. And please remember what they did in the beginning days of COVID. It says here around 52% of humans who have contracted H5N1 since 2003 have died, according to the World Health Organization. So they're already throwing out those big numbers. They won't tell you how many humans have been affected and died since then, but they'll tell you the percentage. Remember all these percentages we were thrown at? It says for comparison, COVID currently kills less than 0.1% of those that it infects. Through the start of the pandemic, the fatality rate was around 20%. It says though at the start. Do you remember what percentages that we were being lied to about? And then at the end, you're like, oh, look what's going on. Are they going to be pulling out ventilators for this one? I think this is very serious. And it's not because I think that it's a real thing. I think it's a food grab. They're talking about the dairy worker in Texas who was infected has reported eye redness as their only symptom, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention noted. The patient was told to isolate and is being treated with an antiviral drug for the flu, the CDC said. I'll bet you they don't name it because it's that one they tried to demonize. The agency and the whole U.S. government is taking this situation very serious, CDC Director Mandy Cohen told the Washington Post. She maintained that the virus does not pose much of a risk to the general public, noting that the dairy worker was in direct contact with the infected cattle, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture said there are currently no changes that would make it more transmittable to humans. While cases among humans in direct contact with infected animals are possible, this indicates that the current risk to the public remains low. I do believe that this is something to be watched. And I think that around any corner, I would be getting ready for the next thing that the government's going to try and push to take something away, to take one of our rights away. I wish I had a better answer. I just had to bring this story to you. I hope you got something out of this. The Economic Ninja is out.